So I think golf has a lot of similarities to business, right? And so it may not seem like that on the surface, but think about it, right? There's a lot of times where you're envisioning this amazing golf shot, right? And this is what your goal is. You're like, oh, I'm gonna hit it right down the fairway. And then you take a big swing and you miss and you hit it to the right or you hit it to the left or you hit it in the water or the woods. And sometimes that can be super frustrating, but you don't stop swinging that golf club. You keep on taking those swings, and every once in a while you're gonna hit that golf ball just perfect and you're gonna crush it right down the fairway. And that's very similar to business, right? Where you're gonna take a lot of swings and miss, right? And that's normal, but every once in a while you're gonna have that big home run that's gonna make up for all the misses that you had, and it's gonna make you wanna come back for more. And that's why I really think that golf and business are so similar in the way they are. What's going on? It's Robbie here, and I'm super excited because right now I'm at the ClickBank headquarters here in beautiful Boise, Idaho. I'm going to be spending the next couple days filming with ClickBank on a special project, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. So I'm going to get to filming. I'll talk to you soon. Hey, it's Robbie. We just finished up some filming here at the ClickBank headquarters for a special project I got going on with them. I can't tell you what it is quite yet, but trust me, it's going to be awesome when we release this in the next couple of months, so stay tuned for that. All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the 6 Weeks of Success training and week number 6. Excited to be here with you guys today. Let me know in the chat as you guys pop in if you are ready to rock and roll today, if you're excited. And can you believe this is the last week? We are at the end of our journey here in the 6 Weeks of Success, and it's been an awesome journey, hasn't it? Going over everything from mindset, getting your campaigns going, everything. Like, it's all been building up to this moment for week number 6, where we're going to talk about analyzing your data, scaling, and tracking. And so really excited to have you guys here today. I hope you guys are doing awesome and having a great week. And I really appreciate everyone tuning in here each and every week that we've done these, because as I mentioned, we did this for your benefit, right? This is, solely for everyone's benefit here inside of Commission Hero. And that's why I'm so grateful for you guys being here and utilizing this and just recommitting yourselves to having success with this. I love that. That's amazing. And so welcome back to week number 6. Excited to be here as always. And of course, also as always, I am not alone in this journey. Over the past 6 weeks, we have also my partner in crime here, Coach Stephanie. What's going on, Coach Stephanie? How are you?
Hey, good. I'm great. So excited to be here. I can't believe it's week 6, but this is also one of my favorite weeks to really go over all the data. And but I'm really excited. I'm excited to rock and roll today. And thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So let's Let's dive into it right now, guys. So, getting into it, what did we cover last week? What did we talk about here? So, last week we talked about homework, right? Which was obviously launching your campaign. So, the question is, did you complete it? Did you launch your campaign? Hopefully, the answer is yes, because you've had a whole week to get that done. But if you didn't, that's okay. You can still get it going. But make sure you guys get your campaign up and running because today we're going to cover data, right? How to analyze your campaign data, how to learn how to scale, different things like that, as well as how to learn how to track with Cometly, which is, by far the best tracking software to use as an affiliate marketer, right? And so we got a lot of stuff to cover today as well. And so even if you don't have your campaign launched yet, don't worry about it. Don't feel like you're behind, okay? Because once you are up and running, obviously you can always come back to this training and rewatch it, which I recommend you do anyways, to get situated with the analyzing of the data, right? And so awesome. So let's go ahead and start diving into it. Coach Stephanie, you ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, I am excited. So, like Robbie said, today we are going to really cover on, the data in terms of this business and your campaigns, tracking and, using Cometly or tracking software for our tracking and why that's important. And of course, some additional scaling techniques and really how to optimize your campaign, right? And increase your profitability. So one of the things to remember, and we talk about this in the training, right, is that we do always want to make sure that we are analyzing our campaigns based on data and not emotion. Okay. And so never under any circumstances should we use anything but our data, right, to analyze the campaign, right? And so it's really important to know your data and also understand like what those metrics are that we're looking for so that we can scale up our ads, okay, and our entire campaign, okay? So when we're talking about the metrics, you'll hear a lot of times in the course, and you'll, I'm sure, hear in the training and in the group that we always talk, we're usually abbreviating things, right? We're talking about CPCs or CTRs, right? So I thought that it was really important that we kind of just dive into this a little bit so that you really understand what these what those abbreviations mean also in Facebook, and really how we in this course what the metrics are that we really look for on how we run ads, right, in Commission Hero. And so the first thing we're looking at here is all of these cost per clicks or click-through rates, okay? And so the first one is our cost per link click, which is our CPC, okay? We're looking at our cost per link click. We're looking at our click-through rate, which is our link CTR. So when we're talking about cost per link click, that's what it costs you to get a person to click on your link. Okay, basically that is when somebody clicks, usually the learn more, right, which is link click through. That's what we're looking at for that cost. Okay, so what it's going to take to get, or what it's going to cost to get somebody to link or to click over to your landing page. Okay. And then the link click through rate is basically a percentage, right? So we want to get a certain percentage of people that are going to click through and hit learn more and then go to our landing page. Okay. So that's what a click-through rate, a link click-through rate percentage is. And then our click-through rate all is anywhere on our ad that they have clicked. Okay. So when we're talking about, let's just say somebody clicks on your ad and then they click through, right, to the landing page, that would be a click-through rate all. Okay. They could click anywhere at all on the landing or on the ad. Okay. So it's really important to know that these metrics, why these metrics are important, and understanding these metrics, not only in Facebook, but understanding what the numbers should be. Okay. And I'll go through kind of what our benchmarks are for these KPIs here in just a second. So the front end metrics, when we talk about the front end, that's really our Facebook metrics. That's our cost per link click. That's our click-through rate on our ads, okay, and our click-through rate all. That is all Facebook or our front end, okay? When we talk about front end, again, that's your ads, your creatives, your copy, your ad copy and your headline, okay? And sometimes your audience, right? So that's all the Facebook front end of our ads. So now when we talk about our landing page click-through rate and our cost per purchase or our cost per result, this is what we can really consider as our back end, okay? And so landing page click-through rate, or LPCTR, is just that. It's the percentage of people that have gone to your landing page, which in ClickFunnels, right? Or on your landing page, and now have gone to the offer. Let's just say it's Alkaline or, iCura Juice or Purivive. They have gone to, to the vendor site. That's your landing page click-through rate. And then your cost per purchase is obviously what it's going to cost you to get the purchase, right? So if it's costing you $50 to get a purchase, or $80, right? Depending on your spend, how many sales you've gotten is your cost per result, right? Or your cost per purchase. So the first three are going to be the front end metrics, and the last two here are going to be your back end metrics. Okay. And so when we're looking at those metrics, we want to think about our benchmark KPIs. And sorry, that says KPs. But if I meant to say KPIs, I was really excited with the exclamation mark there. So with that being said, your benchmark KPIs are really, remember, just that they're a benchmark. Okay. The one thing to always remember in your campaigns is that ROI, sales and ROI trump everything. Okay. They obviously are the most important and why you're here, because you can't take any of these click-through rates or cost per clicks to the bank, right? So our metrics, our benchmarks, are what we're really just aiming for. We're also looking at these metrics to also analyze our data, to be able to pivot and say, okay, if we are getting sales and we want to increase our profitability, how can we lower our costs, or how can we increase our click-through rates, right? Or if we're not getting sales, then we're looking at these benchmarks and saying, okay, where do we need to adjust, right? So your cost per link click, again, that is the cost for somebody to literally click on your ad, right? To go to your landing page. That's your cost per link click, where they're clicking learn more. We want that to really be below $1. Okay. The lower, the better. The lower the costs, the higher, usually it's going to correlate to higher click-through rates. Okay. But definitely the lower the cost, the more people, the more you get for your budget, right? The more people you get through your funnel. Okay. So we're always thinking about our CPC as less than $1. Our click-through rate, our link click-through rate, which is again, where those that are clicking, right, the learn more on our ad to our landing page, we really want that to be somewhere about 7% or higher. Again, the higher the better here, but that's what we're aiming for. Okay. Now, sometimes, again, you can have a winning ad that might be a little bit lower than that. But if you're not getting sales and you're trying to increase your profitability and your ROI, we really want to look at 7% or higher. And then our CTR all. This again is just where anybody that's clicked on your ad itself. Okay. So they could have, let's say somebody's scrolling Facebook and they click on the ad to maybe read more, right? They want to read your copy, or they stop the scroll. That could also be a click-through rate all. Okay. And if they go to the landing page. Now, if somebody just clicks on the learn more and they click through your link, that is your unique link click-through rate. Okay. So your CTR all, a lot of times we correlate this also to your creative or your ad copy, right? Because they have to click, sometimes they'll click multiple times or multiple areas in your ad to read the copy. Okay. Again, these two numbers though, your link click-through rate and your click-through rate are all about your copy and your creative, which is your imagery or video. Okay. So that to really increase those percentages, you've got to test creatives, and which is your copies your images or your video, or your ad copy. Okay. Most of the time that those two are going to be your biggest mover. And then of course your headline as well would kind of fall into that place as well. But most of that is going to be copy and creative. Okay. Then on the back end, right now we're looking at our landing page. So our landing page click-through rate really should be somewhere at least 40% or higher. There is something to say about a sweet spot of a landing page. Okay. Because if you're below 40%, then you're not getting enough people really over to the offer, right? They should be about 40% or higher today, especially if if you have good copy on your landing page, it's creating a lot of curiosity and a lot of direct basically emotion for your audience and you're dialed in, you should have at least 40%. And then 60%, usually 40 to 60% is a really good range. Sometimes if you actually have a higher click-through rate where you're, maybe 80%, 90%, you can have a really high click-through rate on your landing page, but it doesn't always mean that your landing page is doing great. And that actually could be that just everyone's clicking over and you're really not dialed into buyers, right? That would be like saying, if you click here, you're going to win $100, right? Everyone will click over, right? So it's your landing page. You want to make sure that those that are clicking over are really dialed in and have that you've got them emotionally attached. Okay. And so that's really important. So remember, these are your benchmark, but that's kind of your sweet spot. Now I'm not saying you can't have a landing page a little bit lower or a little bit higher that might do well, but that's really what you want to aim for is 40 to 60%. And then your cost per result or cost per purchase, this is really going to depend on your product. Okay. So you want to always think about you're either, if you're on a CPA, if you're on a set price, right, that the vendor is giving you for your offer, or if you're on a rev share and you're getting upsells, you really want to think about what your average order value is going to be on that product. And then also, take into consideration, you may get, 10 to 15% for chargebacks and refunds. So for instance, if you had a $140 AOV or average order value on a product such as like Purivive, right? And you are getting maybe you have, 15% chargebacks. I mean, even a $70 cost per purchase, $80 cost per purchase even is going to be pretty good on that offer, right? I mean, on that AOV at $140, you're going to be pretty profitable. Okay. So that's where those numbers. Now, if you're running an offer that's maybe only $100 AOV, or you're only getting, $80 to $100 for the offer, then you really obviously are going to want a much lower cost per purchase or cost per result to be profitable. Okay. So, but these numbers are important for benchmarks because this gives you an idea of where you need to pivot in your data. And so as you can see, analyzing the data and being able to track this data is so important because that is how we make decisions on our campaign, right? So if our landing page click-through rate is too low, then we may, or too high, that may mean either our audience isn't dialed in, we need to maybe test different audiences, or we need to really work on the messaging, right, on our landing page, okay? If our cost per result is too high, right, then we may need to really be working on the front end, right? Getting either more people through, getting lower costs and or testing creatives and copy as well as audiences, right? Because we're just not getting enough sales for our ads. Okay. So again, there's a lot of different, these metrics are really important. There's a lot of different variables that go within these, but if you think about the first three, cost per click, your click-through rate, and your click-through rate all as your front-end metrics, that's really what you need to adjust in Facebook and your ads, and then your landing page and your cost per result, more of also landing page or messaging and or audience, okay? That's going to really help you to be able to analyze and to pivot where you need to for your campaigns. So really, when you think about analyzing the data, these are your overall metrics that you're looking for as well, right? You're looking for an ROI of, you really want to aim for at least 130 to 200%, right? That's what we want. We want to have our click-through rates at 7 to 12% or 7 to 10%. And we want cost per click, right? Our CPCs less than $1. Okay. Landing page CTR. Now, if you are running a quiz, which we don't run quizzes as much anymore, but I put this in here because if you're running a quiz, your quiz landing page will usually be a little bit lower. Okay. You're having to pre-qualify them a little bit through a quiz. And a lot of times, right, that is going to correlate to a little bit of a lower landing page click-through rate. Okay. So 30%, 35% for a quiz is kind of where we are in the benchmark there. And then of course, up to about 60% for a non-quiz, okay? And then we're also looking at, we also kind of look at hops and order form impressions. Now, hops are going to obviously be, or destination visits are going to be, right, the people that are going to the offer, okay? The number of people that are going over to the offer. And then also our order form impressions, which those are the people that are going to the order form, right? They've watched the entire VSL. And they're getting to the order form, which is also really important because these numbers, even though we don't put as much emphasis on hops and order form impressions, we really want to make sure that one, we are getting hops over, right? That we're getting people to the vendor site, so that we know our landing page is working. And number two, we want to make sure that people are going to the order form so that we know that at least we're somewhere in buy, we're getting some people that are interested in buying. They may not buy yet, but at least we're on the right track, okay? And that really does help to understand the data, okay? And then when are we really looking to kill, right? Well, we are looking to kill in campaigns or ad sets when one, the above and the previous KPIs aren't met, right? You're always, and you're not getting sales. Of course, if you're not getting sales and the KPIs aren't met, then you're going to kill your ad sets, right? And you're going to pivot, and then you're going to work on what needs to be, whether it's a copy, or maybe it's a creative that you need to test more of, or headline or landing page, right? Or even audience, okay? The other time we're going to kill is when the ROI isn't there, right? Even if you let's just say you are getting sales, but your ROI is extremely low, and or you're not positive ROI, well, then we're going to kill and pivot, right? And then we know we need to work on a few things in the campaign. Now, remember that it's very important, at least when you first start campaigns, that you're still allowing campaigns to get enough data, okay? It's very common at the beginning to have either break even or even in the red a little bit, where you're not seeing a positive ROI yet, right? Because you're testing, okay? And in the testing phase of a campaign at the beginning, we have to test, right? We need to test our copy, we need to test our creative. So we need to test our landing pages, right? And audience. And so it is very common to maybe not have a positive ROI or be breaking even, okay, at the beginning while we test. But we also want to make sure we're giving our campaign enough data. So 48 hours at least, make sure that is passed. And that's also based on budget, right? So one of the equations that you can use to really decide if you've, spent enough on your ad sets is thinking about your payout or your average order value of your product. Divide that by 1.5, and that gives you a really good indication of, have you spent enough to at least get enough data on that? And that's a good kind of kill point, right? Because we could say 48 hours or 72 hours have passed, but if you're only at, $10 an ad set budget or $15 an ad set budget, or if you're on the spend cap, a lot of ad accounts now have a $50 a day spend cap. Well, if you're running 6 ad sets and you're at $50 a day, they're only, maybe spending $8 each. Well, 48 hours isn't going to give them long enough, right? So using that calculation of, dividing your AOV or your CPA offer, obviously by 1.5 is going to give you a good indication of kind of where you should be on your spend. Okay. So with that being said, that you can see how and why it is so important to know your data, right? Because it's all about making decisions on the data. And not one time here does it say, well, if I think I'm going to get another sale, I'm going to let it run, right? Because we don't want to do that. We don't want to have a gambler's mentality. We want to make sure that we are really that's what I love about this business, is it all is data driven. So we know what we have to work on. We know what our metrics need to be and where we need to, where we need to pivot and maybe test, or when we do have a winner and we can scale. Okay. So why is tracking so important? Well, it is really important to be able to know those numbers. One of the things to remember in Facebook is that Facebook is not one that the pixel doesn't always fire correctly, right? It either overfires or underfires. Now it's called a data set, but it is notorious for not tracking accurately. Okay. And so if we really want to be able to have a scalable campaign, we really need to be able to track accurately. Okay. So also when running multiple ads, we need to know which ads are getting the sales, right? And what the ROI is on those sales or on those ads. So one of the, if your pixel isn't firing or your data set isn't firing in Facebook, right? Well, or it fires on the wrong ad set, well, then you may be scaling up an ad set or letting an ad set run too long or letting it run in general, maybe that it didn't get a sale. Or you could be killing an ad set that might have gotten sales, right? And so that's why we really need tracking, okay? We need to know which ads are getting sales so that we can put more money and really increase our profitability on those ads and then turn off. So we're turning, we're keeping our good ads on and we're turning off the bad ads or the ads that aren't getting sales, right? Or maybe that have a negative ROI. And so if you're running 6 ad sets or 6 ads and you get a sale, you have to know which ads are getting sales, right? Did all of them get a sale? Did none of them get a sale? Did 1, did 2, did ad set 5, right? So that's really, really important. Okay. And so how do we do that? And how do we track? Well, since, you guys that have gone through the training, if you haven't gotten to the point of analyzing campaigns yet, or even to Commently, that's okay. But I'm going to just dive into Commently for a few minutes today and just show you how amazing this software is and why it's imperative, like, to have tracking for your campaigns, right? I always say this too in the training, and we talk about this in the, in the course, as well as in the Facebook group. You always, are hearing this, is that there's 2 tools that you need for this business, right? One is a spy tool, right? Like Spy Hero, and one is a tracking software, because we know that our pixel doesn't track accurately and we know the data doesn't track accurately in Facebook. So Commently is a hands down a way to be able to scale and to really take this business to the next level. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to dive into Commently now. So I am going to, I'm going to just kind of show you overall, like, when you get into Commently, what it looks like in general. Okay. And this is a test account, but when you're looking at a few things here, okay, the first thing you're always looking at when you get into your dashboard is it's going to tell you, like, your ROI. It's going to tell your profit. Now, it depends on also, the cool thing about Commently is it's going to also, right, tell you, like, or bring in your engagement campaigns and all of that, right? So you have to just, you also have to know, like, what you have coming into Commently to be able to analyze that data accurately, so you know what's your, what's your ROI, and is it based just on your sales, or it based on engagement as well. But this, one of the best things in Commently is that you can go into your ads manager, you can go into reporting, and you can really see your breakdown, right? You can see your breakdown on all your click-through rates. You can see your breakdown on all of your costs. Okay. And so I'm going to actually just jump into the ads manager here, and I'm going to go into a campaign. Let's see what I've got. This one, let me go. All right, so let's go into this one for now. And we'll go here. All right, awesome. Okay, so what's so great about this is that you can come in here and see, like, I could go into a campaign, and even at the campaign level, I can see what the campaign is doing, on the time frame. I can either go on a maximum time frame. I can go the last 7 days, the last 5 days, right? The last 3 days, today, or even, if I've been running a campaign for months on end, I can also look at the entire time frame of the campaign. Okay. So, but when you're in Commently, okay, we just talked about those key metrics, right? And how important it is to see your ad sets at a granular level, to be able to see, okay, are they getting sales? If they're not getting sales, what are those benchmarks, right? Now, remember, we're also looking at our overall campaign, right? So if I'm looking at my overall campaign here on just my active ad sets, so let's just say, I'm looking at those costs per clicks, right? I'm at 87 cents here. So I know that overall my campaign, right, as long as I'm profitable, my campaign is somewhere in that benchmark, right? Now I may have a few ad sets that are above or below that, okay? But overall in my campaign, I'm at 87 cents. Now I may have an ad set that's, a little bit above the dollar, and I may want to kill that one, right? But I'm always looking at my benchmarks to decide if I have sales, if I don't have sales, and where I want to go with that, okay? Obviously the next benchmark I'm looking through is my click-through rates, right? As you can see, the link click-through rates in this test campaign is very low, right? I mean, it's pretty low. It's almost 4%. That's actually not in the benchmark at all, right? So this, to increase the profitability in this test campaign, you would really want to increase these click-through rates, right? Landing page is also very low, right? It's 34% here. This also would really, this is another, obviously another benchmark here that isn't being met, right? So if I wanted to, or as I'm trying to increase the profitability in this campaign or get more sales, I'm really going to need to work on landing page, right? I'm going to need to work on creatives and probably copy tests based on my link click-throughs, okay? Now, in terms of my my ROAS, right, or my ROI, I have a pretty decent ROI here, but these are just my active ad sets, right? So I'm again looking at my cost per purchase, right, which is overall $65, my cost per result for this campaign or these active ad sets, right? So again, as you can see here, this will also tell me if I was to go into my daily breakdown, what's happening, this is the last 30 days, like what's happening in the last 7 days, what's happening, today, right? And so I can really see my numbers. And that's extremely important when you are analyzing a campaign, because you can't analyze without really accurate data, okay? So I'm able to see obviously all my order form impressions. I'm also able to see all my purchases on different ad sets, right? And I'm also able to see those key benchmarks, not only at the ad set level, but in my entire campaign, okay? And so that's really important, because I know if I want to increase profitability on this campaign, right, I need to obviously do some pivoting or more testing, okay? And so that's really, really amazing data to be able to look at. Now, if you were to go in and analyze all this data in Facebook, and then also you would have to calculate, right? I'd have to go in and look through my numbers. I'd have to get my link clicks in Facebook. I'd have to divide them by, the number of destination visits, right, I'm getting for this, for this campaign, to be able to even get this landing page click-through rate, right? But what's so cool about Commently is it's all right here for you, right? I mean, I know exactly what I need to work on in this campaign and what's going to help me increase this profitability, okay? Which it seems like a pretty good, profitability. It's, we talked about at least 130 to, over maybe 300%, right? But it's not, there's some benchmarks that are definitely not being met here, right? So we know that we really need to work on that, okay? And that's the most important thing. Don't get caught in the weeds with, all of the other metrics that go on in Facebook. You're looking at impressions, you're looking at your link clicks, right? So we know that out of all of the people that have seen the ad or that Facebook showed the ad to, I know how many people clicked on my ad, right? 972 people have clicked on these ads in this campaign, right, to go to my landing page, right? And out of all of those people, right, I know that 333 of them went over to the offer, which really isn't that much, right? Because we know right now the landing page is only 34%, and we're really aiming for at least 40, right? So if I increase this landing page click-through rate, and I get, another, 5 or even like 10% over on this landing page click-through rate, that can make a big difference in the number of people that I'm getting to the offer, okay? And so those numbers are really important. And then usually the last numbers also that really aren't in our KPIs, our benchmark, but that really does correlate to your cost per purchase, is your, how many, like, what's your conversion rate, right? And so we are looking at it. If you are looking in Commently and you're looking at your order form impressions, you're thinking that you want to at least be 25% or higher, right? And then in terms of our, our offers, we know that these convert about, 1 to 2%, right? So we are, all of this data is so important to analyze, right? And to be able to see it. And it's right here for you. You don't have to manually remember all the calculations, and you don't have to go back from Facebook and decide, Facebook will tell you some of these numbers, and then you have to go to ClickBank or Buy Goods or wherever your MaxWeb or, whatever platform you are advertising from, right? And then you have to be able to calculate those numbers, which again is a lot of work and it takes a lot of time. When I first started in this business, we didn't have Commently, like there wasn't a tracking software like this. And so, it would take a couple hours a day just to go through the data and be able to analyze it. And this literally simplifies it all. I can come in here, a couple times a day. I can run multiple campaigns in multiple accounts, right? And then I can see where, everything is, right? I can see exactly like what I need to do. I can come in here in, basically 30 minutes and go through all my data, right? And say, okay, I need to test this, or I need to, this is working, or this, I want to increase this ROI. Okay. So as you can see, this is an amazing, data that you get in here. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, right? There's just so much you can do in Commently. Okay. But I wanted to show you really how all this data and how those KPIs correlate into the tracking, and why they're really important to show you the overall big picture in your campaign and what you need to work on. Okay. All right, awesome. So I'm going to go back to the 6 weeks here. And I want to talk about a few things next. The next thing I really want to talk about is some scaling techniques. So what do we do when we find that our ad sets, we are getting winning ad sets, right? Like in here, you're getting an ad set that has 13 purchases, or maybe 2 purchases, right? Or 3 purchases, or you're starting to see some profitability in your campaign. You've turned from red to green, right? That's what we like to see. So what do we do from there, right? Once we start getting these sales, how do we scale, right? How do we get to those bigger numbers, or even, where you're really spending, going through the scaling phases, right? And you're spending more than a few $100s a day, okay? To be able to make a lot more than a few $100s a day, right? To make thousands per day. So that's really what we're aiming for, right? We're really looking to scale at on a larger, or optimizing our campaigns on a much larger scale. So with that being said, there's a few very, very simple techniques that we talk about here in the course. Okay. Now there's a lot of different ways to run campaigns, right? There's a lot of different variables. There's a lot of different techniques to scale, but don't get lost in the weeds. These are 3 of the most simple and really effective scaling techniques that you can do, okay, at the beginning here, especially when you start to see sales. So the first one is what we talk about, vertical scaling, right? Vertical scaling is increasing the budget on an ad set, right? Or increasing the budget overall. So if you're starting at a $20 budget, right, on day 1, and you get sales, you could increase on day 2 to 24, and then you're still getting sales, or your ROI positive, you can increase it on day 3 to 30, right, and so forth. So we're really thinking about scaling our ad sets, our campaign, by about 20%. Over that can sometimes throw it out of, it's optimizing, right? So we can maybe throw it out of whack. But it also can trigger Facebook a little bit. So we want to think about, really no more than 20% normally per day. And it doesn't have to be every day. It could be every other day, right? But that's a great technique to scale, is increasing the budgets, okay? Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, but it adds up really fast, okay? As that compounds, it increases your spend really fast. And as long as you're still getting sales and your ROI is where you want it to be, at that 150 to 300%, right? Now, now we can continue to do that, okay? As long as we have that correct tracking, right? And we know what's working. The second way to scale is a really, a really popular one that, we talk about a lot in the course as well that works amazing is also horizontal scaling, which is really duplicating ad sets. And we're duplicating ad sets that are getting more than one sale. And remember, when we talk about more than one sale on an ad set, when we're duplicating it, it's more than one initial sale. Because if you're on rev share, right, you might get upsells, right? You may get one sale, initial sale, and then you may get an upsell or 2 or 3 upsells. But those don't constitute a scalable ad set necessarily. We always want to think about ad sets with at least 2 or more, sometimes even 3, to make sure it's a clear winner. Because a one sale could be, it could be luck, right? It could be just a fluke. 2 sales, okay, we probably are on to something, right? Initial sales. 3 sales or more on an ad set, that's a really good sign that this ad set is in a great pocket of traffic or a vein of traffic, and we want to duplicate that, okay? So we can duplicate it either at the same budget, or you can also test duplicating at some higher budgets on each duplicate and see how that does, okay? So that's kind of like doing a combination of vertical scaling as well as horizontal scaling on your duplicates, okay? Now, you can also duplicate all of the same ad sets at the same budget, right? So let's say your winning ad set A is at $20. You could duplicate, AA, AB, AC, AD, and AE. We normally duplicate anywhere from 3 to 5 times or more, depending on where you are in your campaign and your budget, right? If you're what you're allowed to spend in Facebook, what your billing threshold is, or what your daily spend is in Facebook will also determine what budgets you're going to duplicate out at or what budgets you're going to start to scale, right? So with that being said, you could duplicate ad set A at, $20 for every duplicate if you're at a $20 budget, or you could say, duplicate A, all of the 5 duplicates could be, 25, maybe 30, maybe 35, maybe 40, maybe 50, maybe even 100, right? Or more, right? So again, that's another way to scale, okay, which is horizontal scaling. And then scaling accounts or profiles actually across multiple profiles and multiple business managers, right, is another way to scale. It's what we call decentralized structure of scaling, which is basically taking that same winning funnel. And when we talk about a winning funnel, right, remember we talk about it's our landing page, it's our winning copy, our ad copy, it's our winning creative, whether that's an image or a video, and our winning headline, and a lot of times a winning audience, okay? You may have one audience that's just really working well for you, or you may have multiple, okay? But we're taking that exact funnel and that campaign. We're not like, hitting the duplicate key or copy, there's no way to like transfer it, right? But what we're doing is we're creating a brand new campaign with all of those exact same variables in Business Manager 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and etc., right? Or ad account 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? So it helps us to be able to scale on across multiple profiles or multiple business managers or multiple ad accounts, and be able to then especially be able to scale our business, right? Especially if we're on spend caps. This is a great way right now. If for those of you that are, maybe starting to see some sales in your campaigns and you are on spend caps, right? And you're just locked in at $50 a day or $70 a day, whatever it is that you can spend. And so, instead of being limited to one profile, right? This is also why we talk about in the training how important it is to set up your business overall with the business structure of multiple profiles, multiple business managers, multiple ad accounts, right? So that if we want to scale across the board decentralized, then we can do that, okay? And so if you're on spend caps and you're only able to spend $50 in Business Manager 1, but you're getting sales and you're profitable, well, you want to be able to increase that, right? You want to get more. Instead of making $1 for every dollar you put in or $2 for every dollar you put in, you want to make 5, right? So with that being said, you want to be able to take that campaign and now move it to also launch that same exact structure, that same exact funnel in a second business manager or in a second ad account, right? Or third or fourth. And it allows you to spend more over multiple business managers and ad accounts versus, increasing your number of ad sets in like as in horizontal scaling, right? In the account, or increasing the budgets on your ad sets in vertical scaling, right? Which would all be in that same ad account. And if you're on a spend cap, that might limit it. Now, even if you're not on a spend cap, scaling a decentralized structure of scaling across multiple business managers, multiple ad accounts can work extremely effectively, okay? Because there is a cap as well on regular ad accounts if you're not on an agency account, that you can only spend, about $5,000 in an ad account, okay? Now, there are some ad accounts that get to spend a little bit more than that, but normally, you're also kind of at a trigger point, right? So we want to think about, if we can't spend more than 5,000 a day in an ad account, we, to be able to really scale, you want to be able to move across multiple accounts or multiple business managers. Okay. And so those are really like 3 simple ways of scaling. Now, of course, there's, you're going to hear, kind of we talk about in the group or in the training that there's other ways to scale. There's shotgun method, and there's there's a number of ways through, right? When you're a media buyer, right? When we're running affiliate ads. But these are 3 very basic, simple ways to scale your campaigns that work great. And that these are really kind of the baseline of really what you want to start to do once you're starting to see those KPIs, right? Those benchmarks and sales that are working for you. Okay. And that's why knowing all of that is so important. Okay. Knowing that data, right? Because if you don't know the data, obviously you wouldn't even know what ad sets were getting sales, right? Like if I didn't know in Commently, right, that, ad set, 71G or, whatever this ad set was that I duplicated out. So, probably many times, if I didn't know it was getting sales, then I probably would have turned it off, right? Especially if it spent, $753, right? But because it is very profitable, and it's making a good amount of profit, I'm going to let it run, right? Of course, I'm going to let that one run. But if I didn't have Commently and I didn't know that ad set was getting sales, well, that would really, affect my campaigns, right? So that's the key here, is accurate tracking is incredibly important. You really can't run a business without accurate tracking in affiliate marketing. Okay, so with that being said, I am going to kind of talk about the last thing here that I think is really important is testing. Okay, so remember that I know we talk about this all the time in the training, and you'll hear Robbie talk about this all the time, as well in the group and the calls. And the biggest mistake that you can make in this business in affiliate marketing is, sorry for the misspelling there, but is to stop testing. Okay. Even when you're scaling, right? So let's say you're analyzing your campaign and you're getting sales and you're starting to, maybe duplicate out or increase some budgets, right? The worst thing you can do is get complacent, because at some point your audience, your creative, your copy, even your landing page will get fatigued. Okay. And it will stop working at some point. And so if you're not testing, also testing, within your campaign and also testing scaling strategies, then you are going to, your campaigns will fall flat at some point. Okay. They don't just continue on forever with, unfortunately, it would be great if they did, but they don't. So we have to be continually testing. And that means testing not only new copy, new creative, new landing pages, right? But also scaling strategies. So, as you'll see in Facebook or Meta, there's a lot of different ways to scale. And sometimes testing new strategies as you get more advanced in your, working in your campaigns, is, testing something new that's also in Facebook can be very rewarding. It may not work, right? But you wouldn't know if you didn't test it. So there is something to say about, testing, scaling strategies, not just testing copy creatives, audiences, and landing pages. Okay, that's really important. And the rule of thumb, and Robbie will always say this in the training, is that 80-20 is the key here. So think about 80% of your budget goes to your campaign, goes to, increasing spend, right? It's all about putting it into your campaign. Okay. 20% is really out of your budget. You really want to have 20% of your budget be able to still use for testing. Okay. Because testing is the biggest mistake that people make is they stop testing and then they have a winning campaign and we think we can ride it forever, or that our creative is going to last forever, or our copy is going to last forever, right? And then it starts to really, it starts to go, instead of going up, it starts to go down. And now we have not tested anything to replace it, right? Whether it's a new copy or a new creative, or maybe a new landing page, or even audiences. Audiences are also really extremely important to test in campaigns, okay? Because audiences also pockets of traffic, audiences will fatigue, right? So, and if you're running a really small audience, as your campaign optimizes and as you get more sales, you've really got to increase the size of your audience to also scale. And you'll see another point at, when you're starting to scale in your campaign, and you're going to be able to test different audiences, right? But you're going to also be able to test, as you're getting sales, your lookalike from your pixel or your data set audience, right? Which is also will increase, the size of your audience, okay? Getting out to some broad audience. Now, of course, that's all, more advanced. It's as you're getting sales and you're scaling your campaigns, right? But all of that is really important, because just like your copy creatives, landing pages, headlines, all of that will fatigue at some point. So do audiences. Okay. So you want to make sure that you're always keeping the 80-20 rule in place, even when you have a clear winner. Okay. And then one of the most important things to remember is that sometimes in the most successful campaigns, unconventional scaling techniques, even some mistakes, can work really well. Okay. I remember, I also, one of the mistakes I made when I first launched a campaign, like one of my first campaigns that I had launched, not the first one, but as I was testing, I launched a campaign, and I actually launched it as what at the time we called it CBO, which is at the campaign budget, right? So instead of putting all of my budget toward my ad sets, I did a mistake, and I actually set it up as a CBO. And it was actually one of my most successful campaigns that I launched, and it just really took off. But I had no idea even at that point, right? I thought, oh, I set this up all wrong, and it ended up working. Now, it wasn't something that I, intentionally was scaling, right? But I set it up and I thought, okay, maybe I should turn this off. And then I thought, well, no, it's something new. I'm going to just let it run. And it ended up working really well. And then sometimes, testing a new scaling technique, maybe manual bidding or the shotgun method, or, something that you haven't done in your campaigns, test it out, right? If you are seeing profitability, and you are seeing sales, right? Sales and ROI are the trump everything, of course, right? If you are seeing that, then what you want to do is test with the proven methods of testing, right? Those scaling, or sorry, you want to scale with some proven methods, but then also don't be afraid to try new techniques, try new things, right? Because a lot of times that's how you'll find what works for you. And you may find something that other people aren't doing as much, and it may work really great for your campaign. Okay. So that's, so I think that kind of sums it up today. I think that was, hopefully, everyone was, I know there's a lot of questions, so I want to get to questions, but I see those coming in. Hopefully that was really helpful for you guys, when you're launching campaigns, when kind of like the next steps and what you do with all that data and how you look at it all. And really the takeaway too is the importance of continuing to test.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah, great. Awesome. Guys, let me know in the chat how awesome was that training that Coach Stephanie just did. I know that I was taking some notes as well, and yeah, I see a lot of people saying yes in the chat. It's been great. Yeah, great stuff for sure, Coach Stephanie. I appreciate you doing that. Um, so let's go ahead and answer some questions because, as you know, this is the last hurrah here for the training here for the 6 week success, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed it as well. But yeah, some of the questions I've seen people ask. One of the questions was in terms of from a testing standpoint, like someone said, how do we know when we're testing too much versus not testing enough? Well, I think that's a great question. I'll give my 2 cents on that. I think that if you are here's what I would say. Most of the time when someone asks me, Robbie, I'm testing all these different things, and like I feel like I'm not getting enough feedback. I feel like I'm not getting enough movement in terms of my performance on my campaigns. And when someone usually says to me like, am I testing enough? It usually tells me that the answer is no, they're not testing enough. Just because they're self-aware and and they're asking that question already. So that's one thing I would say. But here's the thing, guys. I would say that you need to test out all the time. I think like in the beginnings when you first start your campaigns, you need to be testing more than you think you probably should, especially from the creative side of things. I would say that as you start to scale your campaigns, as you start to make money with your campaigns, I would really encourage you to continue testing, as Coach Stephanie just said, because one of the things that people are guilty of, myself included, sometimes is when you have a winning campaign that's just running along and making you money every single day. The tendency is to not want to test because testing is not that exciting sometimes. We want to just make money. But what happens, guys, is after a while, your winning campaigns are going to kind of start to fade out, right? They're going to start to underperform over time, right? And so if you don't have new stuff in the pipeline, it's going to cause some issues because then you're going to start scrambling, right? Whereas if you always continue to test out new creatives, it's going to be very important. It's very similar to like, if you're going to start if you're going to have a fire, right? You start a fire. And so, obviously you got to get all the different wood and you got to get the kindling and stuff, and you got to light that fire. What you don't want to do is you don't want to let that fire to burn out and then you have to start a new fire again, right? What you want to do is you want to be able to throw some other pieces of kindling on that fire so it keeps on going, right? Same thing when it comes to your campaigns. You want to be able to, have creatives and stuff that you've tested and can work, throw them into the campaign and keep that fire of the campaign going for a long time. That's what we want to do. Okay. So, but good question for sure. Let's see what other questions we got here. Let's see.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah,
That was a great
absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see what else we got here, guys. Also, before while you guys are typing your questions in, don't forget if you haven't set up a call with our team to learn more about private coaching, definitely recommend you guys do that. Just go to that link you see on your screen there, getplatinumcoaching.com. As you know, being in the new and exciting year here, it's important to get on the right foot, and sometimes getting access to a coach that can help you do that is really, really powerful stuff, right? So make sure you guys go ahead and schedule a call with our team to learn more about private coaching as well. I highly recommend you do that. If you want to continue learning from Coach Stephanie, for example, you want to work with her one-on-one, you can definitely do that in the Platinum Coaching Program, right? Make sure you guys go to that link you see in the chat. The link is on the screen. Let's see here. Someone said, do we have to use Cometly to be successful with our campaigns? It's a good question. You don't have to do anything, right? You don't even have to be here on this training, right? It's not about having to. It's about, wanting to, right? I think that's the important thing, right? I think that, do you have to have Cometly to be successful with campaigns? No, of course not, right? You can absolutely use tracking sheets and spreadsheets, and you can, if you're a glutton for punishment, go for it, right? If that's what you want to do, perfectly fine. I know someone said that, Cometly is a little bit more expensive. I understand that. But, as I always say, and I've said it many times, and I'll continue to say it, that, a lot of times you have a couple options. You can go for something that, perceives to be more expensive, or, if you go the free version, which would be, for example, a spreadsheet, more often than not, that's going to cost you more time, energy, and money in the long run because I can't tell you how many times I've used spreadsheets and made a mistake, entered the wrong data. And that's cost me money, not to mention time, right? Because you have to manually enter all that work in. Whereas with Cometly, it's very, very user intuitive. It's very easy to use. It's very friendly to use. And it's very, it should, and I would say too, if Cometly is costing you money, then that means you're not running your campaigns correctly. Because it should never cost you money. All right,
Yeah, it should. And I think that's a huge point, is with Commently, as you know, if remember too, like we talk about in the training, is you also have to treat your affiliate business as a business, right? And so it
Yes.
really is a business. And there's certain tools, just like any other business, that you've got to have to run your business, right? And it's just like accounting or right. I mean, you really have to have tracking to run ads, right? Otherwise, I mean, you have to know your data. So I think it's a matter of just having certain tools in place to optimize your business, and if you treat it like a business.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see here. What else we got for questions? Let's see. Yeah, someone's asking if this is going to
Oh,
be recorded.
sorry.
No, sorry. It's gonna
Oh,
be yeah, it's gonna be recorded, guys. Of course, right? I mean, I hope you know by now. This is week number 6, right? You should know, you should know that we are recording all these, and they will be in the guide section of the Facebook group. They'll also be in the your members area as well. I know some people were saying they're having trouble accessing the guide section of the Facebook group. So maybe you're getting like like an error on Facebook. So make sure your browser's up to date. Make sure if you're looking on your phone, make sure you're the Facebook app. Make sure you're using the full app, and also make sure that that app is updated. Okay, because a lot of people are saying that, or some not a lot of people, but some people are saying they can't access the guide section, and so but when they update their phone to the actual updated app, it helps quite a bit. So make sure you guys do that. Okay. But yeah, everything's recorded. It's going to be in there. So you can watch it again and again and again for sure. Awesome. Yeah. Coach Stephanie, you said you were going to say something?
oh yeah, I was just going to say, I saw a question here that, what do we do if our CPs, if our cost per click is below $1, but we're not getting sales? And I would say if you're below $1, and your click-through rates are, if as long as they're not, if they're not 7%, you got to work on that, right? Even if they're below $1, your cost per click, if you're not getting sales, that's the key, right? So remember that those KPIs that we talk about, the benchmarks are just benchmarks, right? And that sales is what's the most important here, right? Sales and ROI. So if you have, even if your cost per clicks are below $1 and your click-through rates are at the benchmark, well, a lot of times that can be messaging, right? Or maybe you're not dialed into your audience. So you have to figure
Mhm.
out which data point is off. And that is where, again, tracking and your data is so important. And so if your click-through rates are low, but your costs are low, well, then your click-through rates aren't, you're just not, even though you have a low cost, maybe Facebook's giving you some really good traffic or, low cost for the creatives, but nobody's really, it's just not creating enough curiosity, right? If your click-through rates are low, they're not engaged, right? And so not stopping the scroll. So you want to really think about, yeah, and that's why that data is so important, right? So always remember sales trump everything, right? You want sales. That's why we're here, right? So the KPIs are always secondary.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. All right. Let's see. What else we got for questions here? Um, let's see. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff we covered here. As far as yeah, so great question here from someone. They said like when they're scaling a campaign, how much should they be scaling every day? So yes, we talked about that, guys. I mean, pretty much, 20% would be kind of the most I would scale like an ad set or a campaign itself. The one thing I would definitely not recommend doing like is doubling the budget or something like that. Because remember, you kind of want to scale your campaigns at like a 90-degree angle. So you want to scale consistently, not aggressively, because if you do it too much, then it can kind of get the campaign out of whack for sure. So something to keep in mind there as well. Let's see, as far as let's see. Oh, another good question. Someone, yeah, someone's asking this question. I think it's a good question because sometimes people overthink. And the question is, Robbie, my on my campaigns, my CTRs have been low, but I've been generating sales on them. What should I do? So at the end of the day, guys, like obviously, as Coach Stephanie shared, like, we want to shoot for that 7% click-through rate on our ads, but at the end of the day, sales trumps everything, right? So if your click-through rates are 3% or 4% on the ad, but you're generating sales and it's profitable, then nothing else matters, right? It doesn't matter. Your CPMs could be high, doesn't matter. Your cost per click could be high, doesn't matter. If you're generating sales and it's profitable on the ad set, that's all that matters. Okay, so don't I've seen people in the past actually turn off ad sets that were profitable because they're like, oh my gosh, like my CPMs were too high. What? Who cares? They're not too high. So uh it's all about the profit, right? If your ad set's making money and your metrics are not where they should be ideally, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. Okay, because the number one metric is sales, right? So please, please, please don't shoot yourself in the foot on that, okay? Don't overthink it. That's really
Exactly.
important. Okay. Let's see. Another great question here. Someone said, like, in terms of testing out different creatives, what should I be testing? So, yeah, so it's a good point. So what I would say is, like, when you have a winning creative or you have a creative that's generating sales for you, one of the things I think people kind of maybe they just misunderstand, but they think when it comes to testing out more creatives, that means that if they have a winning creative, now they have to test out, five, six, seven different, completely different creatives that don't even look like the original one, right? And that's not what you need to do, right? So if you have a winning creative, then all you need to do is create variations, like subtle little variations of that creative. So maybe it's a video, right? Maybe you're just changing the intro, scene of that video. Maybe it's you're doing an image, right? Maybe you're just, instead of having a red arrow, you have a green arrow. Maybe you have an orange arrow, right? So just little tiny adjustments are more important. Okay, it's not like you have to redo an entirely different image, okay? Because I think some people just kind of maybe misunderstand that part where they think that, if you have a winning image and you need to test other things, that means you have to test completely different ideas. Now, of course, you can do that, but if you have a winner, right, the goal is to now optimize and to beat that winner, right, with your other testing. And so that's how you do that, okay? That's important to keep in mind as well, okay? Let's see here. Any other questions before we wrap it up for today?
Um,
Um,
I don't see
yeah.
very many. I think we answered a lot of those, the other ones. I think there was a question about in terms of, different campaign. I know I had mentioned like a CBO and different, campaign structures.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would say, at the beginning, just focus on focus on what we teach for sure, like in terms of, when you're testing and you're really, starting to launch campaigns is really just think about ABO at the beginning. I think ad set budgets, right? So that you are kind of in control on which ad set is going to, get the spend because a CBO or now it's called Advantage budget, but that is a little bit more of an advanced technique, and you really kind of want to have a winner when a winning funnel, right? When you kind of jump into those because they are going to be at higher budgets and you don't have as much control and you have to let those run longer. So just remember to kind of start with the basics. Definitely, what is taught in the course and what Robbie teaches in here it works. So
Mhm.
just definitely follow the structure.
Yep, absolutely. 100%. So awesome. And then guys, yeah, obviously if you want to get more help and coaching along the way, make sure you guys go to that link you see on the screen there, getplatinumcoaching.com. And definitely I recommend you do that. Just have a conversation with our team and so they can kind of walk you through what it's like to get private coaching and get help and attention and support and all that stuff as well, in addition to what you learn here inside of Commission Hero. And so awesome. So all right, guys, we'll do here, we'll go ahead and wrap it up and kind of finish out the 6 weeks. Guys, let me know in the chat one more time. Did you guys enjoy the 6 weeks? Let me know if you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you let me know. I want to get your feedback because, like I said, we do this for you guys for your benefit. So let me know in the chat. Awesome. Cool. Yeah. A lot of people saying they enjoyed it. Love it. Love it. Love it. And so, guys, week 6 homework, very simple. Number one, analyze your campaign data. So if you have a campaign running, make sure you guys analyze it. Make sure you guys get into it and test it out and see how things are going. Continue to test. And then when you're done testing, test some more. And then when you're tired of testing, keep on testing. All right. Because that's the key to success here with what we do in Commission Hero. And then also sign up for Commonly if you haven't yet. Make sure you guys do that. So having a tracking tool, a software is going to be a really valuable tool for you for your success in the long run. Okay. Awesome. So, all right. Well, I guess that's it for today, and that's it for the 6 week success. But wow, what an awesome journey it's been. I really appreciate everyone being here. And guys in the chat, give a big thank you to Coach Stephanie as well for taking time out of her busy busy life and day to help you guys out during these 6 weeks. I know that I appreciate it, and I hope you guys appreciate everything she's done during these 6 weeks as well. And yeah, 'cause she's a rock star, and we definitely appreciate here at Commission Hero. Awesome. So yeah, people
Thank you
saying,
so much, and thank
yeah,
you for having me. Actually, I really appreciate it, and I love being here and helping you guys. And I can't wait for all the success and seeing all the ClickBank Platinum, even
yeah,
coming in for 2024. So you
love it.
guys, let's rock it, right? So thanks so much for having me. It was a great 6 weeks.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been great. So awesome, guys. Well, thanks so much for being with us during these 6 weeks. I hope you guys got a lot of value out of it. You enjoyed it. Make sure you let me know in the Facebook group as well how much you enjoyed the 6 weeks of success, and rewatch these, right? Rewatch these as much as you need to so you can have your own success. So awesome, guys. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. That's it for me. That's it for Coach Stephanie. Hope you have a great rest of your day, week, wherever you are. Hope you're doing awesome, and we will talk to you guys soon.
Bye. Take care.